So today we're going to be talking with Jim Mangi from Dementia Friendly Saline.
Hi, Sheila. Hi, Faye. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here today.
We're super happy to have you, Jim. And we have a question. So we're going to be asking you what you think the most surprising thing that has happened to you as a caregiver in Saline.
It turns out the old man was right. At the very first support group meeting I went to as a clueless caregiver, an older man with a lot of experience turned to me and said, "You will be amazed at all that you can do and how well you can do it." He was right.
He was very right.
Yes, he was.
And when you do it with love, it's even better, Jim. And you do it with love. You're watching A3 Aging Ann Arbor, where we talk about aging and what you need to know. I'm Faye Molitor.
And I'm Sheila Doden.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the third episode of A3 Aging Ann Arbor. We are privileged to bring onto the show Mr. James Mangi. Jim is a retired successful business owner and is currently continuing his 11-year role as a caregiver for his wife, who has younger onset Alzheimer's. Jim is an active volunteer educator for the local chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, teaching various classes on dementia and caregiving topics to diverse groups in several county area around Saline. He developed and led the 12-week In the Together Dementia Awareness Lecture Series at Holy Faith from May through July 2019.
Welcome to the show, Jim Mangi. We're really happy to have you with us.
It is an honor to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. With you being our first guest, Faye and I have talked for a couple of months now about the fact that
you were going to be our first
guest.
Yes, we hoped.
Yeah.
We hoped. We were a little bit overzealous on that in assuming that you would agree. But we really, really did want you, Jim, as our very first guest.
Well, I am very honored, and just overall, I am so happy to be able to be of help to various folks throughout this community.
Yeah, and that's what this podcast is about.
Sure.
We want to bring not only awareness of, certain services that are out there, to talk about our community and how we support folks that are not only, living with certain, physical or cognitive issues, but, how can we really talk about the village?
Yeah.
And how do we best help each other, I guess is how we'd like to say that.
Yeah, helping hands, working together for the greater good.
Yeah. And Jim definitely has been instrumental in a few different things locally. And so we're super excited to have him talk with us about that. So.
And specifically, we'd like him to talk about Dementia Friendly Saline and what that looks like and what that means to folks, because the concept is out of this world. Cool.
I'm happy to talk about my favorite project. Dementia Friendly Saline is a nonprofit that got its start technically about 4 years ago, but it was interrupted by the pandemic. But it started from the lecture series that you mentioned in the lead-in there. I put together, with the help of several friends and the very understanding pastor at Holy Faith Church down in Saline, put together a dementia awareness lecture series, and it ran for 12 weeks. And this is Saline, a town of 8,000 people on a good day, and with with almost no advertising, pretty much word of mouth, we got 50 or 60 people in our social hall every week for 12 weeks to hear about the subject of dementia.
Yeah.
And that was, I felt it was being helpful to the people who came, but it also told me and my friends, oh my goodness, there is a huge need for dementia information about the diseases themselves and about caregiving. So it was because of the lecture series and the reaction that we got, that we got together and said, well, let's join this nationwide effort called Dementia Friendly America. We contacted the headquarters of this loose group and got some information. And we worked with the city government of Saline, Mayor Brian Morrill, and several city councilors, Kristen Mitchell, among others, were very, very supportive of the idea of getting Saline to be recognized as a dementia-friendly community. We enlisted the support of the medical community, the faith community. Certainly my minister there at Holy Faith was one of those. Leaders in the residential community, places like Story Point, Brecon Village, Linden Square. And we put together a package. It wasn't very complicated. A package that says Saline is committed to learning how our businesses, our organizations, our city government, all of our facilities can operate in ways that make things less difficult and more dignified for people in the community living with dementia. We wanted to make sure that people living with dementia were recognized as a part of our community, not apart from it.
I love that. I love that. It's so true. They're still there. They have a disease that is literally killing their brain, but they deserve the same dignity as anyone else. And this is so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't even. There's no
and
words.
on the other side of that, it's not only the people that are living with the dementia, but the folks that are caring for them, their loved ones that are supporting them, that they can come together and, understand that, you're all there for the same reason, to help each other.
Sure. And the folks that maybe have never been around someone with dementia, they don't understand the disease. They're young. It just isn't something that they're familiar with. And you're bringing awareness to them so that they understand that, there is a better approach to folks when they come into your, establishment.
Right.
Or when you are, servicing them because you work in that establishment. Yeah. So that's huge.
I can say, in running Senior Helpers, which is what Faye and I have been doing for 14 years, I think one of the biggest things that she and I have really talked about, is bringing the possibility of helping people better understand how to better take care of people. And we've done a lot of educational things in the community as well. But it's just a totally different kind of perspective coming from Dementia Friendly Saline. We were working with, folks who kind of work or volunteer in the industry. You're talking to a whole community, which is just unprecedented.
Well, a couple of things along those lines. I agree with you, of course, completely, Faye, that it's a disease. We are talking, in fact, about a number of different diseases under the category of dementia.
Yes.
Alzheimer's is the single most common brain disease.
Sure.
But whichever one we're talking about, the important thing is it's a disease, not a disgrace.
Right.
Yes. Oh,
For
I
sure.
love that too. Jim, you just don't cease to amaze me with your words. I love how you term it. It really is, oh man, heartfelt. Yeah.
And talking about talking to people, part of what Dementia Friendly Saline does is we try to go to as many businesses and organizations as we can, not just in Saline. In fact, we've taken to calling ourselves Dementia Friendly Saline Plus, because we will go and put on a presentation anywhere we are invited. My record so far has been Vassar up by Saginaw, and I'm happy to make the trip. But what we do is we put on a brief 30, 40-minute presentation to the staff of a store, for example. And yes, as you said, many times these are young folks who may not really have any understanding of this. And we explain that it is a disease, that when people are repeating themselves, asking the same question over and over again, they are not paying attention.
Yeah.
They're doing the best they can with broken equipment.
Yeah. Yes.
And once we make people aware that this is what's going on, most people say, oh, okay, now I know they're not just giving me a hard time.
Right.
And for example, in a store, someone comes up and says, I'm looking for the tomato paste. Well, under normal circumstances, you might be inclined to point to aisle 187. It's down aisle 187. Well, once you're aware that people with dementia not just have memory problems, but have navigation difficulties and spatial perception difficulties, now the staffer is much more motivated to just go ahead and take the person down aisle 187.
Yes.
These are easy things that we're talking about. It's just a matter of awareness.
It's a beautiful thing. It's going to change them in more ways than just working with folks with dementia.
Sure.
If they're used to doing those things for folks that have a dying brain, they're going to also just kind of start doing those things for anyone, which is really courtesy, and we've lost that.
There is a manual about dementia-friendly practices, comes out of the UK. The UK is far ahead of the US on this front. And there's a great quote in the manual from a person themselves living with dementia. He said, if a business gets it right for people with dementia, they get it right for everybody.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all in the approach. It's all in how you handle the situation.
Absolutely.
No, we've also had great reaction, not just from young people at the store, for example, but when we went to the bank. And we adapt our presentation to issues that organization will deal with. So when we went to one of the banks in town, Old National Bank, great folks, they wanted to hear from us. We talked about financial issues and the financial challenges that people with dementia may have.
Or how they're taken advantage of.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And when we were finished the presentation, the manager came up to me and said, this was a life-changing experience. Now I can understand how how we can help several of our customers much better. Oh, yes, thank you.
I know.
Yeah.
It is crazy because folks don't realize that, there are many different types of dementia, yes, and they are all under this umbrella. But there's 85 different underlying conditions that cause this disease. And in saying that, there's many, many people afflicted with it. And they may not even have been diagnosed. So it is just a common courtesy to approach everyone in the way that we would approach somebody that we know has the disease.
Well, not to get too nerdy, but the latest information we have, and these are all estimates, about 6.5, 6.7 million Americans living with Alzheimer's. Do the numbers, that's 2% of the population.
Wow.
So you encounter 100 people. One or two or three of them probably have Alzheimer's. If you count caregivers, and I'm not talking about you wonderful professionals, I'm talking about the unpaid family caregivers. Roughly 1 or 2 per. So you're talking about 5% of the U.S. population is dealing with dementia either in themselves or an immediate family loved one.
Well, and you are that caregiver.
Indeed.
You're not only bringing awareness to folks, but you're doing it on a daily basis, and you do it so eloquently.
And with so much love.
Well,
it's beautiful.
It is. It's a love story.
Well, thank you. I have been, I'm going to update your lead-in there, Faye. Kathleen and I have been on the journey now for 16 years.
Oh my goodness, that was totally
That's okay.
off.
That's fine, that's fine. And I have never been more in love with my wife than I am today, even though she has forgotten how to walk. She's forgotten how to use a fork. She's pretty much forgotten how to talk. But she has not forgotten how to smile. And I celebrate every one of those every day.
For sure. And
she's beautiful.
She has not forgotten the feeling that she gets when you walk through the door.
She lights up when you walk into the room.
Does.
It's beautiful. And very apparent that you're both very much in love. Even if she can't speak it, you can see it.
Well, frankly, words are good. But as the scientists will tell us, words are only a part of communication. But Simon and Garfunkel had it right in The Sounds of Silence. When they talked about speaking without talking. My wife knows how to speak without talking.
I love that so much.
Well, you gave us an example when we met, Kathleen, about disrupting the flow of the day. And she totally told you.
Yep. I came in to visit her at the memory center. I came in earlier than usual because I had something else, and it was noticeably early. And she just looked at me, and she told me, "What are you doing here? This is not your time to be here." She didn't throw me out, but she clearly was not comfortable. And this is not just in my imagination, because one of the caregivers, the professionals at the memory center, told me the next day, "Yes, you're right. Kathleen was upset when you were there early, and she relaxed as soon as you left." So that was not my imagination.
No?
She was telling me she's okay when I'm there at the right time.
Sure.
And,
you messed up her routine, Jim. Right. What's wrong with you?
Not the first time in our 49 years that I've messed up.
Well, I was going to say, and when I'm thinking about it, when we talked about it, when we were there, but now I'm thinking about it as you're telling the story again, and you shared some other things about, just being a caregiver and some of the situations maybe that you've been in, in your own physical kind of being. And maybe it was her way of saying to you, this is supposed to be your time for a break. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's hard to say.
You don't know. But boy, she wasn't happy that you were there.
That's right.
That's for sure.
But she generally is. Yeah. Yes. And I truly have a good time with her. I take her, like before I came here today, at the right time, which is right after lunch. I was able to get to the memory center and take her for a walk around our campus. She's in a wheelchair. I wheel her around campus. It was nice. She was smiling, and that was very good. And frankly, after we're finished here, I will go back to the memory center. I will have time before dinner, and that will be fine. But one thing I didn't share with you earlier when we spoke is the experience I had when I went away. Now, Kathleen has been in the memory center for 5.5 years, and I have been away. I had to go to a funeral for a sibling and all that, like one night. I got persuaded by my good friends at the Alzheimer's Association. Wonderful outfit, happy to work with them. But they said, Jim, we're going to send you to a conference in San Diego. It's going to be, oh yeah, okay, great. Well, it was a good conference, and I did enjoy it. But I was appalled at myself because I shouldn't say appalled. I was just surprised at how strongly I missed being with Kathleen.
Yeah,
I knew she was safe,
Sure.
but I missed her company. And as soon as I touched, I got back to Detroit, and I flew down 94.
Oh.
And it was like 10 o'clock at night, and theoretically I shouldn't have been there, but
Sure.
I went in there.
Well, you went. Yeah.
I just
You
wanted
had to
to
see her.
I did. And I didn't wake her up. I just satisfied myself that, I got my Kathleen fix.
Oh, that's the love story, Jim. I love that so much.
Wow.
Oh, goodness sakes. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that's cool.
You did mention when Sheila and I were discussing, what we were going to talk about today. And you said something that emulated with me. And boy, did I want to kick myself, because I did exactly what you said you were sort of appalled at. And I've been in many conferences about Alzheimer's and many, many discussions about dementia and all that. I can't tell you how many times the professionals say they're losing their loved one and then they lose them again. And I can't tell you how many times I've actually used that terminology because I heard it from the professionals. And when you don't know, you don't know. But when you know better, you do better. And you taught me so much better when I spoke with you, when we were speaking with you the other day. Because when you said that, I felt like what I offered was not in any way, shape, or form the support and comfort that I should have been offering, because those words were not good words to use. And I appreciate that from you.
Well, your intent was absolutely spot on, as was the intent of the person from hospice who gave me that advice. That we understand how difficult it is to lose a loved one twice. To which I said, what do you mean twice? She's still here.
Yeah.
I know when you said that, I was like,
here.
oh, she is. You're absolutely
here.
right.
She is losing abilities.
Yep.
Every day, she's losing a little bit more ability to smile, a little bit more ability to scratch her nose. But she is still
with you. She's with you.
Still there. She is never going to stop being the person that I love, no matter how many other abilities she loses.
Right.
It is so important. Of course, I miss her as she was.
Well, of course you do.
But I love her as she is.
Oh, Jim, I love that too. You truly are so good at phrasing it in a way to help people understand that it is the love that we need to find for these folks, and that when we approach it with love, we're going to approach it the right way. We over the years have done things to try and help support our caregivers, better support our clients. One of those things is we printed out little cards, like almost business type cards.
Yeah, and they were laminated.
Yeah, laminated business type cards that said, I'm working with someone with dementia. When our caregivers would go out into the community with these folks, and there may be some circumstances where they're acting kind of a little strange because of their brain is dying, or repeating themselves, or whatever it may be. Instead of our caregiver physically speaking, he or she has dementia, because we didn't feel that was dignified, we'd give them this card. What I'm wondering is, do you feel that was the right approach with dignity and respect, or do you think there might have been a better approach for us in that aspect?
No, I think that's fine. I used analogous cards when I was with Kathleen in the community also.
Yeah.
However, partly based on my experience now, dealing with a lot of restaurants, banks, stores, etc., we caregivers, whether professional or friend, we should have no hesitation in saying, my loved one, the person I'm with, has dementia.
Yeah.
It's a disease.
Yes.
Because our hesitancy to use the term,
Yes.
in a sense, reinforces the stigma, as if, it's something we shouldn't say.
That's totally.
And there is stigma. There should not be. There are a lot of reasons for stigma: fear, arrogance, lack of respect. But none of those are good reasons. There's no real reason to have any stigma associated. And like so many other things, it's going to take a while to remove the stigma, but we all should do our part, at least by not participating in the stigma.
Love that. I knew you'd have some good advice about that. I did. I really did. I'm like, Jim's going to know exactly what we should or shouldn't do here because you're just so darn good at expressing, the love.
For sure.
It really is.
I mean, and being able to, like you said, go outside of Saline Plus, right? And be able to, communicate that and educate people on it. The approach and education that you have in that regard is very different than other opportunities that we've seen over the years, and it's just refreshing because this is what Faye and I do every day and what you do every day. But we've approached it so differently than you, and so we've learned a lot from you.
Oh my!
Which is huge for us.
I just met you, and you're my favorite person, Jim. I am so impressed by how you so eloquently put things, and it is truly with passion and love. And those are two things that are meant to be together, and it's amazing.
Well, so much of what I'm doing and saying has been inspired by Kathleen and the experience I have. Because when I put on a talk, one of them is titled "It's a Disease, Not a Disgrace." Okay. But also for the Alzheimer's Association, I'm happy to be a volunteer presenting some of their standard classes about 10 warning signs or effective communication, and happy to do that. But they provide a good evidence-based script,
right?
And it's great. But I never exactly follow the script because I have my own experience.
Sure.
When I tell people it's important in dealing with a person with dementia to have a conversation with them, not about them. Okay,
oh, so true.
I've been saying this to classes for years, and the other day, a little while ago, I was with Kathleen. I was standing behind her wheelchair. We had just had a really nice walk. We had seen beautiful flowers and all that, and the folks at the memory center, "Gee, Jim, did you have a good walk?" And I'm talking to the people, the staffers. And we're having a conversation back and forth.
Yeah.
And you realize.
And after a few minutes, Kathleen starts thumping.
Like,
what about me?
I'm here. Pay attention to me.
Agreed. Yes.
And I came around. I realized I came around to her front of her, got down on my knees, not for the first time.
Yeah.
Got down on my knees, and I said,
"Forgive me.
I left you out of the conversation. I'm sorry."
Oh.
And she mouthed the words, "Okay."
Oh my goodness. Love that. Yeah.
But it does.
It
I mean,
is
it
so
does
true.
happen. It happens. But to acknowledge it and to be aware of the fact that that just happened that's where you're talking to people and helping them better understand those moments when it shouldn't be about that person, it's with them.
That's exactly right.
You know?
Yes,
exactly
for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it is so important to realize that they are taking it in.
Yes.
They're hearing, they're understanding.
Yes.
They simply are not physically able to respond with words or perhaps any other physical way. But I believe that they are listening, they're paying attention, even if they don't understand the intricacies of the plot of the TV program that they're watching, that doesn't matter. But they're taking it in, and they're taking in the conversation about whatever's going on, especially if we're talking about them. We must not underestimate that.
No,
sure.
that's so true.
I mean, there are so many other things we could talk about, but
my
there
gosh,
was a question that Faye and I really wanted to ask you,
Okay.
and it seems like an appropriate time to ask it, but what's the one thing in your role that you didn't expect, and why?
I had no idea that I could be this good at it.
Oh.
And I'm not boasting. In that
You are allowed to boast, Jim.
In that I seem to be able to do things like take care of Kathleen. Now, of course, I have a professional team helping me, but I'm there at least part of every day. And I'm amazed at how smooth that is. Yeah, I'm helping take care of her, but also, getting into this whole Dementia Friendly Saline and the other things that we do, and the Alzheimer's Association classes. 8, 9 years ago, I would not have believed that I could be doing all this. Now, whether I'm doing it well or not is irrelevant. I'm doing all these things, and that just surprises me that I've got so much going.
Yeah.
I am happy to be doing it.
Yeah.
And if it is good stuff, that's great. But yeah, that's a surprise.
Well,
that I'm
that's
doing
wonderful.
this.
And that's amazing. And I would say that you obviously are impacting a lot of people, and your daughter said it best when you retired and sold your business. And she's like, Dad, you're supposed to be in retirement. And then all of this came about. And what was her response to you?
And she said, Dad, you're flunking retirement.
Yes, which is not a bad thing.
Right,
It's a beautiful thing.
That's a beautiful thing. And you know what the driving force is behind your success and why you're doing this so well? It's love, Jim.
I was going to say Kathleen.
And that's it.
That's
it. Oh, I love that. Well, we can't thank you enough for coming on and telling us and everyone listening your story and why you do what you do. And we can't thank you enough for making Saline dementia friendly.
Saline Plus.
Saline Plus, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, guys. I have really, really enjoyed our conversation. And thank you guys for all of the hard work that you and your entire crew of 60 or 70 people do. You guys are heroes, and this kind of work and this kind of awareness is so important. So thank you guys for doing what you do.
Thank you. If you'd like to learn more about Dementia Friendly Saline, please visit dfsaline.org. That's dfsaline.org. That was A3 Aging Ann Arbor, your source for all things aging.
Please like, share, and subscribe for more episodes. Thanks for watching.
This episode was sponsored by Senior Helpers of Ann Arbor.